Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of The First Purge. This may be considered a guilty pleasure franchise for me, but personally, I've at least liked each of the 3 Purge films we've received so far. I will admit, I was definitely disappointed when I first went in and saw that first Purge film, because it wasn't really what I was expecting and hoping for. But after that, we adventured into the world, I got to experience the Purge, and I thought they were well crafted enough and fun thriller slasher horror films. And I have to say, the premise of the first Purge definitely intrigued me, and really that comes down to the fact that the premise of the Purge intrigues me. I think it is a smart, cool premise to get behind, and unfortunately they become a little bit more real each and every time out. So how is the first Purge? Well, I think it's one of the best Purge films to date. I enjoyed myself with this. I know I may be in the minority here, but I had a good time and I actually quite enjoyed the first Purge. So let's go ahead and talk about the positives. Well, first of all, I think that our cast was really good from most all of our main members of the cast. Lex Scott Davis plays Naya, our lead pretty much here in the film, and I thought she actually was really good. I thought she handled everything well, from the emotional depth to the more badassery that was needed. I thought she was fantastic, charismatic, and endearing. Yolan Noel was basically our second lead, and I thought he was also very good, very endearing for the role he was playing. Also a big badass. I thought he was great. Luna Lauren Velez was very good in this film. She actually brought a lot of warmth into the film. Her, as well as our main character, both brought a lot of warmth here, and I thought she did a very nice job. And then we had Muga, I think is how you would pronounce her name. She played Dolores, our neighbor. She stole the show for me. I thought she was hilarious. She was awesome. I loved every single time she was on screen. And she definitely elicits the most reaction out of the crowd. She was our comic relief, but she was a scene-stealing, great comic relief. And of course, we can't forget Marissa Tomei. She is in this film. Her role doesn't require as much, but I think she's fine in her role. She doesn't do really much at all. But she was good. She was good for what she needed to do. Of course, in these Purge films, especially some of those periphery, not as great. The Skeletor was way over the top and kind of just like okay, this could have been done without. But we'll get more into that in the negatives, of course. But what I really liked in this film is how close to home it hit, which made me actually uncomfortable. Like, I felt like this was such a allegory and such a film that really projected our society that it actually did make me angry, and it made me uncomfortable watching the government on screen do what it was doing. Unfortunately, it felt like I wouldn't be shocked if this were implemented later in 2018. Like, not even a full year away, I wouldn't be shocked to see this implemented. And I think the political satire and the political statements that were made in this film were really well done. They never felt out of character for the Purge franchise in general, but within the film itself, there was some really powerful imagery that got more direct with some of the political activism here. We had cops partaking in the Purge, going to beat up a black guy. I mean, there you go. We had the government dressed up as Ku Klux Klan members going into poor neighborhoods. But all of that really helped me personally relate with our main cast of characters, along with the acting that was done there. Being someone probably considered in the lower middle class, that is brown, that is somebody of color, that is a part of the LGBT group. So I fit a lot of marginalized groups here, and I identified with our main group, and it really made me connect to them and root for them, made me really angry with the government in this film, but the fact that it was able to elicit such emotion and reaction within me really connected me to the film and made me enjoy myself that much more. I also think they set it up in, again, a believable way. We didn't spend too much time setting up how we got to the point of the purge being accepted, but using money in low-income areas and targeting low-income, predominantly minority areas was, I mean, again, right in line with what would happen. Let's just put it that way. And made it believable and made the setup seem like something that was viable. And of course, all the backhanded, like, sneaky, slimy stuff was there and felt believable as well. As we move into the horror, thriller, action that we've come to expect out of these films, it's right up there. This is a gruesome film. There are some brutal kills and murders that take place. You are in suspense, and a good portion of that suspense comes from caring about our main group of characters and wanting to fight the government so bad. But also, I mean, they create that tension atmosphere really well, I think. And there's some really cool kills if you're in it for the kills, if you're in it for the gore, if you're in it for the blood. That is all present as it once was. If you're in it for the cool costumes and the world building of the Purge, that is also here, and it's also great. So I think this hits all of those boxes you're looking for from a Purge film, and it does them all very well. So getting over to the negatives within the film. Some of those background characters are terrible, and we spend far too much time with them. I don't think the younger brother in this film was really fleshed out. He felt like a super stereotype of the type of character they were trying to portray. And, I mean, we've seen this, like, falling into drugs, falling into gangs type nonsense far too often. He didn't feel fleshed out. He didn't feel like a genuine person. It just wasn't done with enough nuance. And the acting also wasn't that great. So, his character was definitely the least endearing and the one I cared about the least out of our main group, to be honest. And I mentioned him earlier, but I thought the Skeletor character was ridiculous. I mean, they had a nice callback to him, I guess, at the end of the film, but it was just so over the top. It was like this super campy, super overacted, like outrageous character that I was like, can we just do away with this subplot? I'm not on it. I like the more gritty, realistic, hitting close to home type action here, not this way campy, way ridiculous type stuff. I also think the government officials in general were bland and blech and super superficial and stereotypical. And I think the culture within the film actually was pretty stereotypical. Especially when it came to racial depiction in the film, there was no nuance at all. The gangs and the black people involved in those gangs looked ripped straight out of a hip-hop video. I mean, it was super misogynistic. The violence, the drugs, all of that bit just, I mean, it screamed stereotypes left, right, and center. The socioeconomic status that surrounded that screamed stereotype. So a lot of the race relation stuff I thought actually was good, and it was symbolic having those people wear those hoods, having older white dudes controlled by the government come in and quite literally kill minority groups living in poverty, I thought was good, but it wasn't really handled with any sort of subtlety. But ultimately, this is a Purge film, and I wasn't really going in expecting all that much subtlety, and I do think the action, the gore, the horror, the thrills were all handled so well. I personally really liked the racial imagery that they were selling. I thought it was impactful. I think it might make people uncomfortable because unfortunately, they have to live this very often in their life, so I don't know that this is going to be a movie for everyone because, unfortunately, I mean, it is a symbolism of what is already happening in America. So it's a little bit, it's maybe a little bit too close to home and too much of a reality to be portrayed as this far-off scenario. But I think that's what made this so interesting to me. That's what made this such a good film, is that it was depicting America now. And it was putting it in this purge situation, I mean, pretty much as a warning, as another level of warning, as well as a wake-up call of, this is how people are living as we speak. So I say, if you've liked the other Purge films, give this a full price ticket. And if you're looking for a fun thriller action horror film, give this a full price ticket. I think it fits the bill. But if you haven't liked the Purge films, if you're squeamish at blood and guts, or if it sounds like it's gonna make you super uncomfortable, then you can probably skip this one, because the packaging is too similar to the other Purge films for you to get a whole lot out of it. So, that is my review of The First Purge. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on our latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see The First Purge? And what is your favorite film within the Purge franchise? Let me know either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
When we come to see